Hello there, and thanks for joining me once again. In this tutorial I'm going to tie you up a dry fly pattern this time, and it's a parachute dry, and it's a pattern that you may have come across a few times. It's called the purple haze. This year was the first time I've tied it and fished it, and when I did take it out on the river I was surprised. I had some success on it, so I thought you guys might want to see this one tied up. And this is just the way I tie my version of the fly. And I've seen it, I've tied it with the brown, and I also tie it with the grizzly hackle, and I've also seen it with the brown and grizzly mix, same as you would see on an Adams dry fly. So I'll tie this version for you this time with the brown hackle, so I'll get him out of the vise, fresh hook in, and get started. Now I'm using a dry fly hook here. It's a 94840 mustad, standard dry, size 14. And that's usually the biggest I tie these, and I tie them down to a size 18, from a 14 to an 18. And I'm using some veevus black thread here, and 14-aught, or you could use UTC 70 or 8-aught uni. Would all work fine. So the first thing, I'll start the thread about a hook eye length behind the eye. And the usual routine here, I'm going to wrap back about halfway on the shank. Snip my tag end off and bring my thread back halfway up again towards the eye and stop my thread there. Is where I want to place my wing post. Now I've already have some white calf tail in one stacker here, and I'm going to just give it a few taps and even it up for the wing. And when I tie these flies, most of my parachute flies, I like to tie them sparse. A lot of times you see them quite heavily, like quite a thick wing and quite a lot of hackle. I like to keep them fairly sparse myself, but that's just personal preference. But okay, now we'll measure up our calf tail here. Go the same length of the hook shank, and we'll bring it up and tie it on top. Pinch it down there with a couple pinch loops, and wrap back, secure that down, and forward once again, and make sure it's right on the top. Snip that straight here out. And I'm going to cut the butt ends on a slight angle there. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to prop that up. Come immediately in front there and just make a little thread down to prop your wing up. Just so it stands up there. We get ready to post it. Just like so. Okay, now we're going to post the wing. So, one little trick I like to do is before I post that wing, excuse me, I'll take a little tiny drop of UV resin and put it right at the base of that wing. Just a little drop. And what I'll do is take that wing, pull straight up on, and then I'll hit that UV resin with the light to cure it. And you're probably wondering what the purpose of this is, but I'll show you here in a second. Now what that does, it just gives you a little stiffer foundation to wrap up your post. When you go to wrap your post up there, just makes it a little more sturdy, not so flimsy to try to wrap the post up on there. So I'll go up that calf wing a little ways there, calf tail rather, and wrap up our post, and we'll come back down just like so. Stop our thread in front with a couple wraps. Okay, there's our wing posted. Now next step, I'm going to take my brown, I just have a brown saddle hackle here, dry fly saddle, and sized it for a 14 hook. And we're going to tie this guy in, and right in front of the post first, then we're going to wrap him up the post. Just like so here. Wrap back to right in front of our post, hold that hackle up, and then I'm going to come around, go back up the post again, trapping that hackle stem at the same time as we go up this time. That's going to make the post even more sturdier. Then we're going to come back down, nice snug wraps on your way down here. Okay, a couple wraps behind the post, there we go. So we now have our hackle ready to wrap. Now I'm just going to come in, snip out that little extra quill from the hackle. Okay, now I'm just going to wrap back here, just like so. And we're coming to almost to the barb where I want to attach my tail. Alrighty, so the tail is some moose mane, or rather moose body hair rather. And I have that in another stacker here. I'm just going to even it up. And I also keep the tail fairly sparse, the whole fly pretty much. Not too many strands, I'd say about 10 or 12 strands of moose body hair. And we'll tie that in for our tail. Okay, just get a couple. Alrighty, we're going to put that right on top. And we want that to be about the same length of the hook shank. We'll measure that up again and reverse hands here and tie it on top. Just like so. There we go. And we're going to wrap back to where our thread left off there. Just like so. Alright, and forward once again, stop our thread. There's our tail. Now, we'll snip these butt ends so they meet with the calf tail where that was cut off. We want that to meet that before we wrap forward. So let's wrap that down forward here. Okay, there we go. So we have our wing, our hackle, and our tail tied in. Next comes the body. Hence the name Purple Haze. And if you have just regular purple dubbing, works fine, super fine, anything like that, or even purple ice dub. But I made this blend up myself, and I blend my own dubbings, and I blended up a little bit of purple, and I have a little bit of UV flash in there as well. So I'll grab my dubbing wax, just a little tiny bit on the thread, and I want to keep this body fairly slender. Don't want a real thick body on it. Keeping everything pretty sparse, even the body as well. But like I say, it's your preference. If you like a little thicker body, go ahead. But this version is just what I tied, and I found it worked great for me. So, alrighty, we'll get that noodle wrapped on. See if that will do it up. Okay, we'll wrap back first and get that first snug wrap right in front of our tail. Then slowly wrap forward here, like so. And make sure your noodle's nice and tight. Then we'll jump in front of our wing. And I'm going to need a touch bit more dubbing, so touch that thread with the wax. And just a small midget more here, not very much at all. Okay, really skinny noodle I got going here. And we'll wrap that forward. Alrighty. And you always want your thread to end on the far side of the hook. And the purpose of that is for tying the hackle off when I wrap it. You'll see here. You may already know that from previous videos that I've done. Now the last step is to do our wrapper hackle, and also back to the UV resin once again on the post here. I like to take a little drop once again. Just go around that post. You don't need very much at all. And I'll grab my rotating hackle pliers here. Probably don't need them for this guy. I could probably use my fingers. We'll give that a try first. Alright, so let's get that first wrap. Turn my vise a little here so I can make sure I'm getting one wrap in front of the next. Just work your way down the post here. Just like so, gradually. Alright. And I don't do a whole lot of wraps on the post either. Probably 4 to 5, and then I'm going to come underneath with the thread. Just wiggle your thread back and forth underneath. Tie this guy off. And I usually do about 3 wraps to make it secure. And what I'll do now is take my thread, pull forward on my thread, and I'm going to go underneath here, bring the bobbin close to the eye, and make a jump in front and make a couple of wraps right behind the eye. So that's where I want to finish the fly. You can also, as well, if you don't want to do it that way, you can whip finish at the base beneath the hackle. I also do it that way as well. This is just one other technique you can do. We'll snip off our excess hackle here, hackle tip rather. Alright, so now all I got left to do, the way I finish these guys off when I do it this method, is I just simply I used the good old half hitch here. Got a couple stray fibers there. One fiber there I got trapped. I want to trim him out. There we go. Alrighty, it's looking good. Okay. Now I'm just simply going to grab a half hitch tool here. I have one on the end of this whip finisher. And I'll throw in a couple double half hitches. Just like so here. There's one. And we'll do another one here. Right behind the eye, snug it down. And I'll do one more for good measure here. Alright. Snug it down tight. I'll come in and snip off the excess thread here. There we have it. Another size 14 purple haze. Just one version of it. There we go. And like I say, it's the first time I tied it and fished it was this season, and it caught fish for me. So thought you all might like to see that one. See this particular fly, and if you have the materials, I recommend tying a few up. No harm in having a few in your box and give them a whirl. So anyway, until next time folks, I want to thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't subscribed to this new channel of mine yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Appreciate it a great deal. And until next time, happy tying out there. And we'll see you all again soon folks. So long for now.